Okay. All righty, let's get going. Well, welcome everybody. We are on week 12, I believe. Um, I should know this better, but and that means we're like 3/4 of the way through. So we're almost there. Um, and so we're on part 2, section 6, and declarative tools and modules. And I've lost there we go. Okay. And as you know, Melissa and I have been teaching this class. Melissa's away today, so I'll be on my own. So bear with me if I have to stop to let people in. And as usual, we will, mention the office hours at the time. At the end, the Llama site is where we post the classes. And of course, we always add the video to both the link to the video and the homework will go out in the email when everything is ready to go. So in previous classes, we installed the NPSP and any additional features available for both the project management module and volunteers for Salesforce. And then we configured the fundraising features for an NPSP and then completed last week the configuration for both the project management module and volunteers for Salesforce. So declarative tools and open source commons, which has actually been renamed as commons, but I will still refer to it as the open source commons today. Modules are additional ways to extend the functionality of NPSP based on a nonprofit specific use case and business processes. In today's class, we will learn that about customizable rollups and when to use them, matching gifts and how and when to apply, and the Outbound Funds module and grant making. None of these are actually required for NPSP to work. However, if they are needed, they can make NPSP tremendously better. So we'll start with customizable rollups. So what are customizable rollups? They give us the ability to adopt the out-of-the-box NPSP rollups and create new ones. As a Salesforce administrator, you may be familiar with the rollup summary fields that roll up information from related records to another record. There are more than 80 rollup summary fields that come already created in NPSP when you install it. However, each organization has specific metric and business processes they are trying to measure. Customizable rollups provide a way to create new fields and filter and what filters they use on that particular field. And as you can see, there are 2 types of rollups. There are aggregate rollups that are typically the rollups you use for some, total average or count, or the single result operation rollups, such as finding the smallest or largest or the most recent or oldest. So when would you need a customizable rollup? Well, you may never actually need one. There are 80 of them, so you may never find the need for them, but there are certain use cases that may result in requiring ones, such as a custom rollup to some data that doesn't already exist on some of your custom fields. Perhaps you're looking for the last or most recent date, or one that actually I just recently created for another customer is a rollup for the first date of their volunteer opportunities. So as a program manager, for an example, as a program manager, I want to see which family has provided the most in-kind donations so that I can thank them on social media. So the way we would go about it is to create it. First, you'd need to create a custom field on, in this case, the account object. And then you would go to NPSP settings. And then under there under donations and then customizable rollups, you will see this this list here. And obviously can't show all 80 of them, but you can scroll through it to see all the different ones that already exist. And if what you're looking for is not already there, you can click the new filter, the view filter groups, and then create a new filter group. Then you will, I'm not going to go through this in complete detail, but basically what you need to do is create the filters for the rollup. Then you create the new rollup. So you don't create the rollup first, you create the filters first and then the new rollup. You show the object where you want the rollup to show and that new field that you created. You fill in the description, so what it is measuring, and then the operation time frame. And in this case, you would leave the amount field as the opportunity amount. And then you click save. And it will run overnight. And this goes with all the rollups. If you configure it, it will run overnight in the nightly batch. However, if you need it to run immediately, you can go into NPSP settings and bulk data processes and click the run batch to make it run immediately. So on to matching gifts. And as many of you know, matching gifts are like a fundraiser's best friend. So it's sort of like shopping with a buy one, get one free sale. So how do you track all those lovely donations that come with the possibility of a matching gift? And when the gift arrives, you also need to make certain that the right donor gets credited. So while these may already be in place, you need to confirm a few things first. That you will see that matching gifts use the standard objects that are already available, so you don't need to add any more. So it uses the opportunity contact role, account, and contact. You use the way you configure soft credits, and the soft credit, it would be the person whose company, not the person who gave the donation, but the person whose donation triggered the company to give the matching gift. They would get the soft credit, and you could configure them by adding the particular soft credit roles that would be available into the opportunity contact role. And then you would add the matching gift fields onto accounts, contacts, and opportunities, and also add the related lists for these matching gift fields so that you can see the matching gifts on the different fields. And once you have the field added and the page layouts are complete, you can look at how to create the gifts appropriately. So for companies or organizations that will contribute to matching gifts, be sure to check the matching gift company checkbox on the relevant account record. And you can see that that's that box up here. And you can also determine if, some companies may match at 100%, they may match at 50%. You can also designate that as well here. Now, when a new donation is eligible for a matching gift, you create the donation, and in the matching gifts section of the donation, so this is on the account record and this is on the donation record, you can designate the matching gift account and the gift status, that whether it's potential, if it's hasn't been submitted yet, or if it has already been submitted, you can put this as submitted. And then once you're done that, make sure to save the donation. Always remember that save button. So when the matching gift arrives from the donor's company, you will want to create their donation appropriately. So you go to the account record of the company giving the matching donation. You click new matching gifts. So you could see that in this new opportunity, it's actually a specific matching gifts opportunity to create the new donation of the record type. And then you complete the information as normal and then click save. The rest will be automated for you by NPSP. You can see the donation, and as you can see here, there's a I know it's very tiny, I apologize, but you can find the matching gifts on the opportunity. And then what NPSP does is you can see the donation by the company on the related list for the company. You can see the contact roles are automatically created and the soft credits are created, and the contact original donation is listed in the matching gifts related list. So you can see the soft credits and contact roles there. So any questions so far?
No.
Good. All righty. So now we're going to go to the Outbound Funds module. The Outbound Funds module is another special extension of NPSP because it was actually community inspired and created through what we call the Open Source Commons Community Sprints, which runs several times a year and has created a number of products that are available and are still in the process of creating a number of products. This module was designed to help meet the needs of nonprofits, organizations that work both with grants and scholarships. So there are 4 main areas where Outbound Funds module is useful. You can manage the request for funding. You can track the applicant's journey. You could schedule the payments or the disbursements when they are awarded a grant. And then you can also maintain the relationships. So before installing, as I said, it comes from the Open Source Commons, and because of this, there is no cost to install the Outbound Funds module. However, if an organization would like to use a Fund Seeker starter portal template, a digital experience must be activated. Now, so, most people with NPS, a lot of them will already have the Enterprise Edition. Hopefully nowadays, most people have Lightning Experience enabled, and My Domain should be at the point where it is also enabled. Chatter should be enabled, and digital experiences, which is also sometimes referred to as the old term was community sites. The new term is experience sites. If you want to use that and use a particular portal template for this, you can use the digital experience without the portal template, but if you want that, you'll have to purchase the particular licenses, which would be the digital experience partner community plus license, because we can't have short terms, and they may be purchased from Salesforce before you can install the template. So there are basically only 2 configurations that need to be done, and that is the page assignments and the Lightning records on the disbursement and general accounting unit objects. Just to basically go through it is you just make sure that the particular page layouts are assigned. Don't forget to hit save. And then on the Lightning record pages, just make sure that the particular and disbursement NPSP record page and the GAU Outbound Funds record page are the ones that are activated and assigned to the Outbound Funds app. So once you have that all set up, you can test your functionality by creating a new funds request. But first, you need to have a funding program. So you will go to your Outbound Funds app, which you find through the app launcher. And then it will come up with the various tabs that you require to use your outbound funds. So you would first, to set up a funding program, you would click the funding program tab and click on the new button. And the only thing you really need to set that up is the name of the program, but you will want to add in things like the amount available and the start date and what status it is at. Then you would create the funding request. Now, you can either create this or you can have it set up that I have just set this up that funding request comes in as through a form on our website. And this is when another organization applies to get the fundings, and they can fill in the funding program, which is a lookup field, and fill in the appropriate name and how much funding they require. Then you could, this is an optional step, but you could create the funding request roles. So if the contact on the funding request, you can decide whether they are going to be the administrator or they're just the requester, or whatever the role is, you can add that in. And then should your funding requirements, if you have certain steps that they need to require, such as submitting their application or submitting their 501c3 or providing bank information, you could set them up in the in the requirements section, and including adding a due date and track the status. And then once these are set up, you can see the list of them on the related list on the funding request. And then you can mark them as completed as each step is completed. Then you need to create a review, because before you want to disperse the funds, somebody needs to review to see if the application is acceptable. So to create a review and then assign it to a reviewer to request feedback from this reviewer on the funding request, you can do it either from Outbound Funds app on the Reviews tab, or you could actually click the Reviews tab on the funding request page. The review name should relate to your funding request. And I noticed in the book, it said it was a lookup field, but it actually isn't. So you would have to create your own name. So I would recommend, whatever the funding request name is, I would probably just use that name plus review after it, just so you know that it relates to that particular funding request. The funding request field is actually a lookup field from the information already in your Salesforce system. And the assigned to field is a lookup to a user record, not a contact record. So it is somebody who is within your organization as a user. When you are ready to share the review with the appropriate reviewer for their feedback, go to the review record you created, and from the drop-down in the upper right corner, select sharing. You then select the user you are assigning to the review, give them the appropriate level of access to complete the review, whether they just are viewing or whether they may edit. And then the reviewer can complete and submit the review by simply clicking Submit Review when they are done. Once all the requirements have been met and the reviews are submitted, the foundation can then decide which organizations should be awarded the funding they requested. So, and I apologize, it looks like I may be missing a page. Yes, sorry, they went out of order. I'll fix that before I post them. Now comes the fun part about giving out the money. So to create the disbursements, there is a button on the funding request page called Create Disbursements. Click that button to schedule the disbursements. Make sure that the total amount awarded has been noted on the funding request before you do this. Now, once you've added the number of disbursements, so for example, if you give it out over 12 installments, and the intervals and periods such as every 1 month or every 2 weeks, etc. And the first date, you click calculate, and then the schedule will appear. All the information on the funding request record to track the request itself, the organization and contact, the fulfilled requirements, the reviews, and all the information is on the funding request, including all these items, the award and the disbursement of the awarded funds. So you will find those all on the funding request record page. So you don't need to go in several different places to find out this information. Now go back to this one. The Outbound Funds module also comes with 10 helpful reports out of the box that are already created for your organizations, and they are listed here. I won't go through each one of them, but hopefully these reports make it simple and streamlined to share the information in real time with all the foundation's stakeholders. So in summary, in this chapter, we have configured customizable rollups, applied matching gifts, and explored the grant-making capabilities of the Outbound Funds module. Each of these is a unique and individual and is called for in specific use cases, as we discussed today. While Salesforce does regular release updates 3 times per year, open source common applications such as the Outbound Funds module may require some manual updates, as they are not included in these 3 times a year updates. So if you do end up using those, keep that in mind, that it does need you may need to keep up with their any releases that come through for those. So throughout the previous chapters, what we have done is configuration. Next week in the to customize or not to customize chapter, the emphasis will be less on configuration and more on customizing Salesforce itself using the TDTM, which is, and I just blanked on what it actually is, but we'll explain it next week. But we'll also get into things like disabling code or creating custom code. Now, and as part of this process, we will also review the order of execution of operations in a Salesforce instance. So you know that we have, like workflow rules and process builders and validation rules and triggers. And I mean, even if you've never actually worked on any of those, you've heard of them, but there is an actual order of execution on all these, and we will be going through that in our class next week. And as usual, there's a list of resources. If you are looking to install the Outbound Funds, there are two different ways you can install it, either using the Outbound Funds installer or getting the module from the App Exchange. So you can choose one or the other of these. We're also getting closer to the end, so there are fewer trailhead badges as we go through, because we've covered a lot of the different nonprofit badges. If you have the book, it's chapter 13 for next week, and our usual office hours will be on Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And with that, I'm going to try to find where is. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and then stop recording.